Welcome to our Sound for Video session. Today is the 12th of August, 2017. A question that came up was, how do I use a safety track in post? So if I do get distorted audio on my primary track, how do I use a safety track in post? Let me just give a couple of definitions here for those that aren't familiar with the concept of a safety track. There are a lot of recorders, especially in the prosumer and the consumer range, that allow you to record what's called a safety track. And the idea is you record with a single microphone to two different tracks. On the first one, you record to the level that you set it at, and on the second one, it records at a lower level. And the idea is that if your talent or the sound source gets too loud and it starts to clip and distort on the primary track, on the secondary track, which you recorded at a lower level, it won't clip and distort, at least hopefully. And there are a lot of devices out there that do this. The Zoom F series of recorders do it. There are lots of others. The one that I recorded on for this particular demonstration was the RODE VMP Pro Plus, which also now has the newest version here has a safety track recording feature. The older versions don't. So that is an explanation, first of all, what safety tracks are. Let's take a look at the screen here. This is a recording that I made. You can see that things are pretty good. We may have a little clip there. I didn't intend to do that, so we'll pretend that's okay. This is kind of an extreme example, but then you can see definitely some clipping here where the audio goes straight up to 0 dB and gets completely chopped off. And the way that sounds is like this. Go ahead and adjust your volume down a little bit. You don't want to listen to this really loudly. We should be okay on the safety track. So here's a lot louder, and we should start to clip on the primary track. Okay, so that's a problem. You don't want that distorted audio if you're trying to convey some quality in your piece. So here's how I would take care of this in Adobe Audition. Just watch the principle here. You can do this in lots of other apps. This is how I do it in Adobe Audition because I find it to be a little bit easier to do it here. So first of all, I'm going to extract these channels to mono files. So now I have two separate files. Here's the left channel with the distorted audio. Here's the right channel with the safety track. And technically, we've probably clipped just a tiny bit right there. That's probably not going to be audible, so let's play through it here. So here's a lot louder, and we should start to... I'm not hearing an obvious distortion there, but that would be something we'd want to fix as well. And in fact, there are probably some other things. You'll notice here the waveform is quite asymmetrical. Here it peaks out at, what, minus 4 dB, and over here it's actually touching 0 dB. So there's a little bit of asymmetry there, which I would normally fix first, but for the purposes of keeping this simple and straightforward, let's go ahead and click on Multitrack up here, and I'm going to create a Multitrack session. Go ahead and put that in here. Okay, that's good. All right. Now, we could have done this a couple of ways. I could have actually told it to do mono tracks. That would have been a little easier. But if you do have a multi-track session like this, first of all, what I'm going to do is get rid of all of these tracks here except for the master bus. I don't need these others, so I'm going to delete them. Next up, we come up to multi-track and choose track, add mono track. And we'll do that again because we need two of them. All right, now what we can do is take our left channel from our recording and drop that on the first track, pushing it all the way to the left. Same thing on the right channel with the safety track. All right, now the idea here is that I want to replace this distorted audio with this good audio down here. And the way I do that is I am going to use the razor tool by pressing the R on the keyboard. Go ahead and slice it right there, and then we'll slice another one right here. Okay, press V to get back to the move tool. Now I can highlight this and get rid of it because that's the bad audio. Grab this one, drag it up. Now what I want to do is a crossfade to kind of blend this in. So I just grab both ends of the clip and drag them so that I get a kind of a crossfade so that things sound smooth. It doesn't sound like there's a cut there anymore. Let's go ahead and play back a little bit. I'm going to mute the safety track because I don't want to hear this stuff down here. I just want to hear the main one. Let's play from here, see where we're at. And then I'm going to talk a little louder and we'll clip the primary track and we should be okay on the safety track. So here's a lot louder and we should start to clip on the primary track, but we should still be okay on the backup track. So now we're bringing it back down. Now it sounds better because there's no distortion, but it's obvious that there's a cut there. And obviously we don't want that to be the case. So what we need to do is sort of level these up. Now remember, this one was recorded at 10 decibels lower than the primary track. So what I would do is normally just pull this down by, you don't have to get right to 10 dB, but maybe here we're at 9.4. Whoops, I moved it accidentally. Pull that down by about the same amount. And let's play it back now. And then I'm going to talk a little louder and we'll clip the primary track and we should be okay on the safety track. So here's a lot louder and we should start to clip on the primary track. You can see it's a little more subtle and it's probably not quite as noticeable. So that is the general concept. Now what I would do here is I don't need these anymore. We're going to go ahead and delete those. And then I could either round trip this back to Premiere or render out the entire mix here and send that back to my video editing application, and I could take it from there. So that's the general idea on how to cut in a safety track into a case where you have some sort of distortion on your primary track. Hope that was helpful. Go ahead and leave any questions you have down below. Get out there and make some great recordings, and we'll talk to you again next week.